Right, it's me. I'm back. I'm back on the Bolshevik platform that is YouTube. Back from the YouTube gulag. Obviously, I was barred for a week for telling too much truth because apparently with YouTube you have to deal with lies, manipulation, and propaganda in order to remain free of the censors. But never mind, they can't get rid of me. Here I am. I'm back. So I was going to do a video. Hope you're all well. I am going to do a video today about a magic spell that was cast, a black magic spell that was cast back in 2016, and how that relates to this bizarre phenomenon of Ukraine flags flying across the land. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I am halfway through a video series called Years of Insanity. I've done 2 of those videos. One was barred, hence resulting in my spell in the YouTube gulag. The other 2 I'm still to do, but I just had a bit of an insight last night, so I thought I'm going to do this video today, and then my next 2 videos will be the parts 3 and 4 of Years of Insanity, the little mini series. So anyway, hope you're all good, as I say, and you know, let's begin. So, well, beautiful day today, by the way. I'll have to unzip the coat in a minute. It's pretty mild, getting pretty warm. So. I was driving around last night and I was thinking, what is it with these Ukraine flags? Now, there's not loads of them. Apparently in other countries, such as Ireland, they are much more, there's many more of them, but there's enough of them, you know, around where I live. And there's certainly more that I've seen as of around where I live, and also when I was in the Peak District. I think it's a sure bet. There's more Ukraine flags flying in this country than Union flags, let alone St. George flags. Now, just consider how bizarre and absurd that is. That if I'm right there, and there are more flags flying of a far-flung Eastern European country, in my country, the United Kingdom, than Union flags that's supposed to represent the United Kingdom. Weird or what? Strange? Bizarre? Now, what does a flag represent? Well, for me, a flag represents something. It's an identity, isn't it? And we have to be careful with identity and the concept of identity and not get too caught up in identity, particularly in this world where identity and labels form the basis for so many people's lives. But it's a central identity that everybody can choose to attach to hopefully in a positive way. It's a symbol of belonging to something bigger than us. So what would that be? Well, that would be our culture, our country, our history, and our people. So that's patriotism, and that's, for me, is you know, what's rallying around the flag. That's what it is. Now, I know a lot of us have, I'm going to come to the black magic bit of it in a minute, but I know a lot of us have recast our opinions of many aspects of our own views with regard to all those things that I've said. But for me, as much as I despise the political establishment, the fact that the hard left, in line with kind of like medical cartels, has taken over and got its tentacles into society, I do still love this country. I do. I love the countryside. I love the quirkiness. I like I largely like the psyche. I like the fact it's underpinned by small business. I like the stoicism. I love the history and the culture and the, you know, the genuine inclusiveness of the country, and that it does and always has welcomed influences and different cultures. Obviously, as I say, the hard left are trying their best to destabilise and demoralise, and we've touched upon all of that. But the flag is something that is very important for any nation. And I've also talked about how the one nation that's been under the most savage psychological attack to absolutely break its citizens psychologically is the United Kingdom, but I'm going to say England in particular. And that's been going on for decades, but it's intensified in the since 2016 and the Brexit vote. Hence why, you know, the act of flying a Union flag would be decried as racist by many on the communist left, of which there are many. Other countries don't have a problem flying their flag; they celebrate it, particularly the French. Yeah, but so do the Italians and the Spanish. The Eastern European countries do as well. I think Ireland is possibly similar to the UK in terms of, well, to England in terms of there appears to be a you know, a moving away from that celebration of Irishness and what it means to be Irish, and that's also another country under serious psychological attack of its citizens. Now, I think I'm right in saying that because I know I've got a lot of Irish subscribers, and I'd love you to give me your take on what I've just said there, and tell me how everything that I'm about to say in this video ties into Ireland as well, because I'm fascinated by Ireland as well. Right, so what happened in 2016? I talk about this black magic spell, and what on earth has that got to do with Ukraine flags flying now? So this was the insight I had I had last night. So I didn't really sleep very well last night because I've got this cold, and it's one of them where you're blowing your nose every 10 seconds and sneezing, so I couldn't really sleep. Oh, hold on, best go and get myself tested, best isolate myself, hadn't I? And I'll have to remember to get that jab. Right, okay. Anyway, just a cold, but I couldn't sleep, so, you know, I often have my insights in the middle of the night anyway. And it's something that a lot of you will already have realised, and pretty simple actually, and I'm surprised that it took me this long to work this out, what I'm about to say. But let's go back to 2016 first of all. What happened? Two massive political events took place in the Western world that resonated right across the Western world and across the globe. Of course, you know what they were. They were Brexit in the UK and the election of Trump in the US. On both occasions, an electorate rebelling and saying we have nothing in common with the left-wing establishment. We are sick of being lectured to. We feel left behind. We don't feel understood. We feel ignored. We are sick of no one standing up for how we see our countries. We are sick of being told what to do all the time. We want to reclaim in some way an identity, which, as I've explained, is important for any nation to have and its citizens to have. We want to be able to celebrate and to be represented in politics, the things that we treasure in life, like family and patriotism, the ability to run a business. That was why Brexit and Trump happened and Trump got elected. Now, the black magic spell that was cast, it was of such darkness that people in their millions lost their minds and eventually their souls, their morality. The fact that I've done a bit of videos on this before, over 6 million people in my country tried to stop Brexit happening, a democratic sabotage, by signing a petition to cancel Article 50 in 2019. The fact that there's over 6 million of those people in my country is utterly terrifying. I've done videos about that before, so I'll try and find one or two and post them in the description. But what you had in 2016 in both countries was a democratic event, and again, I know a lot of us have changed our views on democracy. For me, I'm never voting again in an election. I'll only ever vote again in referendums. I see it as completely pointless. But you had there two democratic events that delivered a result. you know, fairly comprehensive result in both cases as well. And how did the infantile section, the infantile and cosseted, ignorant and spoilt and entitled subsection of society that we have in the West react in both cases? They reacted by hysterical screaming, complete refusal to accept the results, constant shouting, heckling and screaming, and coordinated attempts to stop the democracy from being served. They did that in a variety of ways, and I can talk more about how they did it in the UK with relation to Brexit, but I talk extensively about that in my upcoming book, because I think it's a real representation of the real malaise that we have in this country. So I won't say, I'll save that for the book, and if you're interested in that, then you know, the details are in the link in the description. That's going to be out soon. So we had that. I firmly believe that the psychologists working on behalf of the deep state saw an opportunity with this to send people insane, ultimately culminating with these displays of unity with Ukraine now. So here's the phenomenon, here's the insight. Why is it all of a sudden, we transition from it's that meme that describes it the best, isn't it, where the person has the COVID microchip taken out of their head, and the Russian Putin bad one put in the head, and the click of the finger, or the press of a button, and instantly COVID's forgotten. And now Russia and Putin, no Russia, but certainly Putin is the bad guy. Now what happens with these people when they were put into this black magic spell? It meant that they were unable anymore to reason, apply logic, to have a debate. They needed a hero and an anti-hero, hero and a villain, a good guy and an adversary. They could only see black and white. There was no shades of grey anymore. That was the black magic spell. And what happened in 2016? Very, very, very cleverly done, was millions of people in the UK and America were convinced that the reason Brexit happened and Trump happened was because of Vladimir Putin. Russian disinformation campaigns, Russian bots on Twitter, and dirty Russian money all combined to ensure that the result that the deep state had actually, not wanted was delivered, because the black magic spell worked in such a way as to give the people who couldn't accept those outcomes somebody to blame for them. So instead, as a more enlightened and adult, mature, intelligent, open-minded society would do, instead of just accepting millions of people who quite clearly, as we've seen, are incapable of accepting democratic outcomes that go against their wishes, gave them an opportunity to blame what they didn't like on a country, on a figure, thus giving them the opportunity to say they needed to be rerun. This was wrong, this was corrupt. Now I only found out in the years that followed that my vote for Brexit was was manipulated by Russian disinformation campaigns and dirty Russian money. I didn't know that. I wish I would have known at the time, otherwise maybe I would have voted Remain, but never mind, I didn't know. Anyway, same in America with Trump, with the Mueller report and all that. Absolutely nothing found about how Putin was, was no evidence that Putin was meddling in that 2016 election. Plenty of evidence, as in the 2020 election as well, of much meddling on the other side, but we won't talk about that for now. So there we go. So that was the spell that was cast. Now, as I've said, we live in a very infantile world where people can't debate, where people need somebody to blame, where people also need a hero, and that's because of the work that's been done in the last few decades whereby this cultural revolution, similar to what went on in China, just delivered in a different way, whereby the hard left has taken over the minds of people via infiltration of institutions, particularly the public sector, obviously the media, politics. I mean, the Conservative Party is the most socialist political party the UK's ever had, as far as I can see. Obviously Hollywood, so the influence of films, mainstream media, schools and universities. So people are products of that, merely products of that hijacking of all of our cultural institutions and political life. Thus, very, very susceptible to being manipulated into how to think, easy to make them angry, easy to energize them into attempting to sabotage the votes, the precious votes of their fellow countrymen and women. And another phenomena, so there's that. There's also, and this is what I talk about a lot as well, Nietzsche talked about the death of God and in Western societies and how that would ultimately result in bloodshed, which it did in the 20th century, and it still is now in a different way with the tyrannies that we see across the world now. But people, if God doesn't exist, or spirituality doesn't exist, if we aren't transcending above ourselves, if we aren't believing and part of something bigger than ourselves, something that is altruistic, and that can be patriotism, hence what I was talking about, the disgust about the Union flag, then people will find that need for God, that quest for God, even amongst people who describe themselves as atheists, will manifest in deeply dark and disturbing ways, such as the mask and the jab. And now to tie it all together, as I say, the memes are brilliant, aren't they? But the microchip, the implant in the brain, COVID, that was taken out, and then in popped Putin, and all of a sudden again, because people need this, the people that I'm talking about, they need everything to be simplified for them. They need somebody to be a hero, they need somebody to be a villain, and they will always side with the majority, establishment-backed version of events every single time. Because not only are they, and I'm sorry to say all this, but not only are they literally incapable of considering an alternative side of the argument. I mean, that comes to other things as well, like climate change springs to mind. Obviously there was COVID, Trump, as I've talked about, and other debates as well. So not only that, but it doesn't matter what they're asked to do. It doesn't matter what they're asked to believe in, so long as they are in the majority. That is all that matters. So along comes Russia, and along comes Vladimir Putin. And I've got no time for Putin. I don't. At all. And I don't know what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, as I've said many, many times, and try as I might, I will not be able to find out. What I do know is that the region is unstable around there, and war's been raging for a long time, at least since 2014. What I do know is people have only become engaged in what's going on since they've been told to. The same people who've been obsessing about COVID, the same people who utterly obsessed about Trump and Brexit. So along comes that. So who's the villain? Well, obviously Vladimir Putin, and actually all Russians, because another quite amazing thing about this type of person is that shout and try as hard as they might try to smear everybody who thinks differently to them as right-wing and a racist. Well, if I was a Russian now living in the UK with these people screeching every 5 minutes about how Russians are the problem, I'd feel pretty persecuted, but the irony is lost on them. So along comes Putin, along comes Ukraine. Once again, these two phenomena, needing a hero and needing a villain. Putin, villain. Zelensky, hero. Russia, villain. Ukraine, heroic. And again, something big to belong to, something to show, fake empathy and sympathy for, a movement to get involved in. Now, I'm sure that there are genuinely people who really are shocked at what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. I am, but I'm no more shocked than I am with any other war that's raging across the world. And again, the logical question is, why the focus on Ukrainian refugees? So now you end up in a situation where you have Ukrainian flags flying across the land in the UK, a country, I don't know, 800 miles, 1,000 miles away. We've got a random Eastern European country's flag flying in our nation. What the fuck is that all about? So hopefully I've been a bit more erudite than that in the rest of the video, but that's what it's all about. Exactly what I've talked about there. People don't care for truth. They don't care for these people. They don't care. All they care about, because I tell you what, if people really did care, because, you know, I'm hearing these poor refugees and isn't it terrible and all the hand-wringing that's going on with it. Right, okay. So you describing yourselves as charitable, are you? And kind, because you're showing this concern for something that's going on 1,000 miles away. You only get to do that. You only get to do that if you can acknowledge the suffering that you have been complicit in your own country, the children that you have let down, the old people that you have abandoned, and all the people who've been harmed by lockdowns and jabs like my dad. You only get to show sympathy and concern. Well, you can if you want, but I will not take you seriously if you can't show sympathy and concern and support and actually do something positive about evil stuff that is happening right under your fucking noses in your own country. I'm sorry, but these people are corrupt. Intellectually and morally corrupt. They don't care for truth. They don't care for morality. They don't care for what's right and what's wrong. All they care about is being seen to be on the right side. It's being seen to do the right thing. And most importantly of all, to be in the majority. Why? Because they are cowards. So that's my insight. Let it be known, we have many people in all of our countries who are utterly lost. It is painful to watch. It is sad and it is utterly tragic. They are lost, and I think they're lost forever. And it puts even more onus on us to heal this world, to be the antidote to these corrupted souls. And that's what I'm going to talk about in my next video. But do let me know what you think about my insight. It might be something you've already worked out for yourself, and as I say, I'm surprised it took me so long. You know, I just try to provide or to give a view that's a broad view. I don't like to get involved in the nitty-gritty and the details of things that I don't understand. But I find people's behaviour fascinating, utterly fascinating, and that's, you know, that's where I try and analyse society from, really. So let me know what you think about this video. Again, whatever country you're in, tell me how many Ukrainian flags you've got flying across the land. What do you think about the ideas that I've offered in this video relating to other political events and how, you know, society's so infantile that it can't accept democratic outcomes that go against their urges. And yeah, let me know. Great to speak to you all as ever, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Okay, bye bye.